A wonderful good morning, people. Welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage Mobile Edition. I'm actually wearing my hang on, I need to overtake these slow driving trucks here and cars first. Yeah, I'm wearing my Off-Grid Garage t-shirt. I am on an official mission. To pick something up again. We don't have the trailer with us today. You can hardly see it, because what I'm going to pick up will fit in the car easily. Nick, one of my viewers, contacted me 2 weeks ago and said, well, I've got something you may be interested and I am willing to lend it to you for testing purposes. So yeah, unfortunately he wants this stuff back after testing, but that's fine. And I'm currently driving to see Nick and pick up a couple of these things to test them out and see how they perform. I have read about them, but I'm very excited actually to get them into my hands and do some testing with them. So let's see how this goes. We should be there in exactly 19 minutes. PJ's Custom Spray Painting. This is not advertising or endorsement or something. I don't know what it is, but this is the address they want me to go to. This is the magic warehouse where everything is happening. Okay, I'll give Nick a call and see if he's there. All right, guys. So I've got the stuff here in my boot now. Let's get out of this industrial area here, go home, and have a look what we got. I think you're keen to know, right?
3 weeks later.
I'm sure you're all very keen to know what I have actually picked up from Nick's place in Brisbane. It is right over there. Okay, let's have a closer look. Let's get one of these packages here in the garage and have a look. So here from the outside you can already see. So these are the VoltX mono solar panels. Normally we have monocrystalline panels and polycrystalline panels, but these ones Nick bought are very special. Let me show you. I got it. Ooh, look at these panels. Let me carefully put it next to these ones. See the difference? Mono, poly, and these ones. These ones are so-called shingled solar panels. All these cells here, they are lying on top of each other a little bit, like the shingles on your roof, you know, the old style shingles. Because usually you have your usually you have your cell, and then you have your bus bars on top of your cell, and the bus bar then goes underneath the next cell, positive, negative, positive, negative. What they have done is here, they have actually layered these cells and then connected them with conductive glue on top of each other, so they are overlapping a little tiny bit only, like shingles. And I'm just reading on the website here about the benefits having these shingled solar panels here. Obviously there's no space in between the solar cells as we have here. See, we've got these white spaces in between the single solar cells in the panel, and this obviously results in loss of active area, because here we have only these small gaps, 2 of them the whole length of the panel, while here we have them all in between these single solar cells. So apparently these ones are far more efficient here space-wise. And of course we don't have any soldering of bus bars, which results in higher resistance from one cell to another one, because we have to solder these bus bars here on top of this cell and on the underside of the next one, and so on. And all these resistance are adding up. This is not the case with these panels. And because we don't have any bus bars in these modules here, we don't have any corrosion of these bus bars. As you can see here, these brown stains on top of these bus bars. See there? This is corrosion inside the panel. Here you can see it. there's no corrosion, and then it starts there. There's a bit of moisture or something inside the panel, corrosion. And apparently this is a far more reliable method to connect these single cells together than using the old busbar technology. And also one big thing is shading, partial shading of solar panels, as we can see it right here from the garage roof at the moment. There's only one part in the sun and the other one is covered in shade. Very hard shading here on this panel. These two are in full sun. And apparently this does not affect these shingled solar panels that much than the normal ones. So all in sum, they are supposed to be more efficient, more reliable and more robust. Well, so far the advertising from the website. Let's put it to the test. So first of all, let's have a look at the label at the back of the solar panel. So the company who made these panels is VoltX. Model is mono shingle module. This is a 12 volt module here. 19.25 volt is the maximum power point voltage. 22.75 is the open circuit voltage. And the first thing I noticed here, there are no amps on it. Nothing. Not even how much power this module has here. Look at this. All this information is totally missing on this label. We don't know what kind of module this actually is, what the amps are. Nothing. No information on here. Oh guys, that is a bad start. So I'm not 100% sure. I cannot find the correct... So the only identification numbers I have are the dimensions here and the two voltages on the back of this panel. And I think it is the 12 volt 130 watt solar panel. Because having a look at the specs here, the maximum power voltage 19.25 and the open circuit voltage 22.75. I had a look at the 160 watt panel and it has different numbers. So I think it is this panel here, even though the dimensions are not the same as on the box here. But maybe they have measured the box and not the actual panel. So I'm not 100% sure. And there's nothing on the box either saying, well, this is a 130 watt panel. Okay, let's go with the 130 watt panel. So we should have a maximum power current of 6.5 amps and a short current of 6.8 amps. I guess. Let's get this bed. Here it is, freshly calibrated last night. Well, and now we have only to follow the instructions here on my t-shirt, right? Let's go this way. Oh, look at this, perfect. The good old spat. Okay, so this is the first full sun test. And we probably have trouble filming, recording the display here. Okay, let's do the open circuit voltage, 23.3, and we should have 22.75. But the panel was just coming out of the shade there, so it is still cold. Okay, let's do the MPPT and see how much power we get out. 95.6 watts, 18.6 volts and 5.15 amps. Okay, this is a bit under the specifications of the 130 watt panel. It looks more like a 100 watt panel. We have absolutely no clouds today, but let me check solar panel meter. And we have 1210 watts per square meter. That is amazing. If we could just use that, right? We would need a tiny amount of solar panels only to power everything. Wow. So yeah, that is full sun here in wintertime, 1.2 kilowatts per square meter. But then, well, this is a bit disappointing then if it's a 130 watt panel, right? So we're not getting full specs. Checking the spat again here. Yep, that is pretty good. But yeah, 93 watts. Let me check the 100 watt panel if we maybe it's not the 130 one. Apparently 130 watts is the smallest they have. There's 110 watts, but this is a flexible one from VoltX. Yeah, they've got this as 200 watts, 130, 160, and then 110 flexible, 160 flexible. So it must be the 130, but we are getting only 93 watts out of it. Let's get a second one and test another one. Okay, so this is now the second panel. We've got 22.4 volts. And let's measure the maximum power point. 88.4. Yeah, 5.1 amps, 17 volts, 88 watts. What is going on here? That's a 130 watt panel, right? We're getting only... Okay, so if these are 130 watt panels, we are getting 30% less power in full sunshine. 30% less. What? Let's see what the Victron MPPT says. 80 watts. We're getting 4.8, still tracking 4.7 amps out of this panel. And it is 100% in full sunshine. It is the only panel connected to the MPPT. It is in full sunshine. And we're getting 80 watts out of it only. That is, well, that is disappointing, right? What is going on here? That's a 130 watt panel. Okay, let me try the other one there again. Okay, I've connected now the second panel, and let's see, 22 volts. Now it's ramping up. MPPT is looking for the best power point, maximum power, 80 watts as well. This is all we get. Okay, there's a bit tiny bit of shading from this cable there. Hang on, would it be fair? Yep, so now absolutely no shading at 81 watts, 81, 82. That is disappointing. Okay, screen recorder is running. So I have now series connected these two panels and connected to the Victron solar charge controller. And this has now a combined output of 260 watts. And we compare this to a 250 watt monocrystalline panel. This is one of the panels I have recently picked up here. You can see it, 250 watts. And they are both in the same shading conditions. You can see there are some sunny spots, but mostly they are in shade. And you can see here the shingled solar panels in series have an output of 23 watts. These two in series, 23 watts, right? Okay, let's connect the solar charge controller to the monocrystalline panel and see what we get there. Disconnect these two and we connect them here to the 250 watt panel and see what we get there. But it looks like, yeah, they are producing far more power than the 250 watt panel on the right hand side. We're getting only 7 watts from this panel. 7 watts. That is insane. That is nothing. 10 watts. The MPPT is trying hard. 7 watts. Okay, let's try the shingled cells again. Okay, we're getting 16 watts now maximum, 18, 17. So we're getting a bit more power. But still we are talking about 0.1 amps here, right? There was 0.3 and this is 0.4 now we're getting out of these panels. So the output is not a lot higher. But still it is higher. Okay, let's put these two panels in the sun and see what we get there. Oh no, my cables are too short. So this is now our new test setup here. We've got the two shingled cells here in series connection, connected to our solar charge controller, and then we test the 250 watt solar panel. Same direction, super new ones, clean. This one is 8 years old, not cleaned at all. Let's see what the results are. We're getting 201 watts out of this panel. 7.3 amps from the panel and 14.4 into the battery. Let me quickly change it back to the shingled panels. Yeah, we're getting 161 watts now. 11 amps into the battery instead of 14 point something before. It charges quite a lot slower, right? Stupid airplane. Jeez, can you not fly somewhere else? I'm making a video here, please. So yeah guys, I don't know. This is a bit disappointing. So between 9 and 10 amps into the battery from these two and 14.4 amps from the old panel into the battery, while these two should actually have 260 watts combined, and this one has only 250 watts. And as I said, this one is probably 7 or 8 years old or even older, and these are brand new. Newest efficient technology, up to 10% more efficient than other panels. But from what I can see here is, so I've now put the two shingled solar panels on top of the 250 watt panel just to show you the dimensions in relation. And well, here from the side we can see the shingled cells are a tiny bit longer, probably 100 millimeter longer than the other one is wide. So the efficiency space-wise is a bit better with the shingled cells. But as we have seen from this full sun test now, the electrical efficiency is actually less than an 8-year-old 250 watt panel. I'm not sure about these shingled solar panels.
The next day.
And today we want to test the shingled solar panels again in a different condition. I have put on the most shitty weather ever, because not everyone is living in sunny hot Australia, right? And you really want to know if these panels are performing well in... It's the same shit weather as in Scotland now, where the Gary lives. Yeah, this happens when a German living in Australia makes a Scottish accent. It is Scottish shit weather. It is cold, 16 degrees, 2-layer t-shirts. So as always, we have our setup here, our monocrystalline 250 watt panel, our polycrystalline 215 watt panel, and two of our shingled 130 watt panels in series. And I've got my solar charge controllers prepared, and we are starting the recording now and see what's going on. And we are creating only 6 watts on the polycrystalline panel, while the other controller still shows our pool fence system, which is still connected. So I'll take off these cables now and connect them to our VoltX panels. Jeez, what a name. There should be Peter panels. All right, so we have now connected the VoltX panels, and well, what can I say? So you can see the MPPT is still trying to track the best approach for this shit weather. 7 watts we are getting. What do we get into the battery? 0.4 amps, exactly the same as the 215 watt panel. So at the moment it's only, there's no difference. Look at this. There's no difference. So we're getting 7 watts out of these panels. I was really hoping a bit more, especially because they should be better in cloudy weather, but probably not in this Scottish weather. Here you can see 0.2 amps coming from the VoltX panels, 0.2, 0.3 amps coming from the polycrystalline panel, and 0.4, 0.5 going into the battery. Alright, let's switch the test controller over to the 250 watt panel, because this will be the comparable size to these ones. This one is a bit small, right? Alright, let's see what is happening right now when we have the 250 watt panel against the VoltX. So 260 watts against 250 watts. It looks like the clouds are getting thicker here. The light is really so bad. We're getting 5 watts, 6 watts from the VoltX panels and 6 watts from the 250 watt panel as well. So it looks like there's no difference at all between these panels and one of these panels.
Much later.
So with normal solar panels, we have all the solar cells in series. And you can see this here at the end of each solar panel at these bus bars. Yeah, this is the start. This is the start lane, so to speak. So it goes all the way down. If we have a look here, you can see the bus bar connecting this lane to the next lane. Yeah, and then it goes back all the way to the other side. And we've got the same setup here. There's our bus bar connecting this row of panels to the next row. There's the bus bar. It goes back over there, bus bar, next row. So all these cells are in series connected. And this is exactly the problem. If one of the cells is shaded, right, it doesn't produce power anymore. And it affects the whole panel basically, because it is a series connection. So now with these panels here, we've got 6 by 10 modules, and every 20 modules there is a bypass diode in this junction box. So if we are shading a couple of panels for these 2 lanes here, the bypass diode will kick in and the current is just bypassing these 2 lanes because the resistance is far too high and they're not producing enough power anymore. So the overall panel voltage will decrease by 1/3. And if you have situations like these ones here, well, the bypass diodes will kick in basically for the whole panel, and then the next panel is the same and the next panel is the same, and that's why we have 6 panels in a row here which are not producing much. So this is probably like 50 watts now all in total, and they could produce almost 1000. And this is exactly the idea of these shingled solar panel technology we have here, because here we can see, no, we can't see from here, but we can see it very well from here. We've got only 3 lanes here, and these 3 lanes are not in series connection like in these panels, they are in parallel. So if one of them gets shaded, the other 2 are still producing, but we've got 1/3 less power. And you can also potentially see, yeah, here you can see these little bridges there. I think they have split them up again, and this is where the bypass diodes are sitting. So we've got 1/3 of this lane can be shaded and can be bypassed, while the other 2 are still producing. And this makes it far more efficient because we've got a combination of series and parallel connections here. And I want to show you this here on our little test setup what we have. So we've got full sunshine on this shingled cell panel here. And we have currently a open circuit voltage of 22.3 volts, right? So if I take this cardboard and we can see our 3 lanes, if I just cover up one of the lanes, there, very sharp shadow, we still have the 22 volts. Huh? If I do this again and cover the next 2/3, so we've got only 1 lane left now, and we still have the 22 volts, 21, okay. It goes only 1 volts down. So if I take the cardboard away, you'll see a slight increase in voltage. And now we are doing the opposite. I'm covering the panel from the top, and I'm covering all 3 of these lanes. See, now the overall panel voltage goes down because I'm shading all 3 parallel lanes now. If I do this only for 2 lanes and only partly, we still have the 22 volts because 1 lane is completely unshaded. And now watch this. If we go to maximum power point, so we have our 87.5 watts now. The panel is fully in the sun and I'm shading 1/3 of it, so 1 lane. We should see about 30% reduction there. Goes from 90 to 60 roughly. And now I'm shading the other 2 and we should see it going down by another 1/3 to 30. So this proves the theory. These lanes are in parallel, so we are producing only 1/3 because we've got 2/3 of the panel is shaded now and 1/3 is still producing. And this makes them less affected by shading. So let's wait until the solar panel comes up again, 87. And I'm shading the top part of all 3 lanes now, just a few centimeters. And we can see the power goes down to zero, actually, to 0. Look at this. All 3 lanes are covered and we've got basically 7.8 volts only and no output. So if I take this away, we've got full output again, 88 watts. And if we shade only 2/3 of the panel and leave 1 lane completely open, we've got this 1 lane producing all the power and the other 2 nothing. So from this test, I'm actually not sure if these are some kind of connections where bypass diodes are sitting in the junction box. And well, because they are not my panels, I don't want to open the junction box and have a look inside. But this is the main cause. Through these parallel strings we have here, it is a bit more efficient in shading conditions. So, and here now in these half shaded conditions, I can see an output of this solar panel of 5.6 watts plus an end. So it really totally depends what kind of shading you have on your solar panels, and covering 1 lane completely with a sharp shadow there, as I did with the cardboard, this is almost never happening in real life anyway. So I was a bit hoping that this technology is actually superior to what I have on the garage. But what I can see here from my testing so far, this is not the case. And I don't know, maybe they are not the 130 watt panels and they're only 100 watt panels and they are not on the website. I've got no information. I can only go as per the specs and dimensions. And it looks like it's a 130 watt panel, but well guys, so far the theory with our panel in full sunlight, but here in the shade it's a bit of a different situation, as we have seen, and the effect is not that great. I mean, there's a bit of an advantage of having these panels instead of normal panels. And if we do the maths, there is a 60% advantage in the shade, but we are talking about getting 10 watts from a normal panel to 16 watts from one of these shingled panels. 60% sounds really great, but I mean, the overall power gain per panel is so small, I don't think it makes a big difference. Okay guys, I think we have tested everything now with these shingled solar panels. Thank you so much, Nick, for lending me these 4 panels. I have opened only 2, I have tested only 2 so far. So there's no reason to test the other ones as well. I leave them originally packed in their cardboard. And we have tested them in all conditions now, sun, shade and shit weather. I don't think I have missed anything here. If you want me to do more testing with these panels, please leave your comment down below with any more ideas or what you want to see with these panels. I've got them for another week, maybe another 2 weeks before I give them back to Nick. So let me know if you want me to do more testing with these panels. Anyway guys, so far this solar testing today, it was a lot of fun. I have destroyed 1 SPET, so I have to calibrate a fresh one tonight. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your support here on the channel. Thank you to all these awesome and beautiful people who are supporting me financially as well with their donations for more beer. And it also helps towards the cost I have making these videos, of course. Until the next video guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. Thanks again, Nick, for lending me these solar panels. It was really fun to test them out. Oh, shit. they are getting a bit wet. I'm so sorry, Nick.